Hello everyone, OSW-Sim-Sports here. As you know, I am quite the race room racing experience enjoyer, but every time I keep recommending this game to other people and they try it out, they keep coming back to me saying that they are not really getting along with the force feedback and that they are having a tough time finding some nice settings that they can build up some feeling and actually push the car a little bit. For some, it either seems to be too stiff, and for others, it seems to be giving no feeling over bumps and curbs, etc. So in this video, we will go and try to fix that, and hopefully this video will help you to get a little bit more enjoyment out of the game. Let's dive into it. Let's just quickly go over the settings, shall we? As you can see, I'm running 260 degrees steering sensitivity. This is personal preference, do whatever you like most. I have set the force feedback strength to 100% so we don't get any clipping and we can turn down the force feedback in the game. I have it set to peak because it's a little bit more, it's a little bit more peaky and it gives me a little bit more aggressive feeling over the curbs. I have natural damper, friction and inertia all set off. This is pretty much what adds the stiffness to the wheel that I don't enjoy. Yes, it makes it a little bit less safe because the wheel can self-oscillate and you do have to keep it in your hands when you are spinning out. Or when you do let go, be sure to get your hands away from it because you don't want to hurt yourself. But these settings give me very nice feeling. And then for the FFB interpolation filter, I have it set to 20. And I have it set to 20 because I really dislike having a grainy feeling. But I also tested a little bit with 10. That also seems to work fine. But anything lower than 10 for the smoothness or interpolation filter just makes it, very grainy and a lot of jitters and annoying stuff. But I tend to run very high interpolation values anyway. The game force effect intensity I leave at 100. Game force effect strength I also leave at 100, so it's basically default. And here we just remove the game spring effect and the game damper effect. Turn it off completely. I also don't have brake level indicator. I don't need all of that stuff. And that is basically everything here because as you can see, I also don't have anything enabled for the dynamic FFB. So now let's just hop into RaceRoom and see what the settings are there. And now in RaceRoom, let's quickly go over the settings. I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Would highly recommend binding a key both to your FFB meter so you can see if you are clipping or not, and to FFB multiplier up and down because this is per car, so you can just set it up whatever you want. It will autosave and it will just remember. Okay, and here we are for the actual force feedback settings themselves. I have the in-game force feedback set to 50%, just to give myself some digital headroom to actually play with the force feedback multiplier if I want to, and do so without any clipping. Since I am using a direct drive wheel, we don't need the minimum force dampening, so we just leave that off completely. Same with the maximum force, we also don't need that at all. The stationary friction, I set it at 50%. At 100% it's way too much, and at 50% your wheel feels very strange, not realistic at all. But at 50% it gives a nice feeling when you are in a pit. And now for the actual force feedback effect settings. I played around quite a bit with this, but the engine vibrations I didn't find it useful at all. It's just extra noise that it's on top. And I don't want it, I keep it off. The bump amplification, however, is extremely useful because you get more feeling in the curbs, you get more feeling in undulation and bumps in the road. So I would highly recommend just turning it up to 100%. Maybe something in the future KW Studios could consider is letting us set this to 200% just to give a little bit more feeling even. But for now, this feels very nice. And then for the gear shift effect, I don't really like that kind of stuff. I just have it set to 10%. It doesn't bother me. It's fine. And now let's quickly go over the advanced control tab, where I have to be straightforward with you. I didn't change anything here for the force feedback. Everything should be at default. We don't have steering exponent. We don't have all of that stuff. It's just default. Only for the throttle and for the brake I have a little bit of dead zone. But for the rest, everything is pretty much default. And now here we are in the game itself. For testing, I would highly recommend actually picking a laser scan track, as some of the other tracks, they have been modeled by hand and they will use LiDAR data, but the track will be more smooth and it will sometimes feel a little bit jello-y. On the Nordschleife, however, you will have none of these problems, so if you are testing your force feedback, I would highly recommend to do it either on here or on Silverstone. And now to actually enable our force feedback curve so we can check if we are having any clipping, we just press M as I assign the key to that, and I can use the greater than and less than signs to go up on the force feedback or down on the force feedback. So I can just tweak that as I go along. For this car, 1x is absolutely fine. Let's just go out on track now and see how it feels. So here it's quite stiff, but that is how it's supposed to be, I would say. Go out of the pit. The bumps feel nice and aggressive. Here you don't have too much feeling, but there in the banking it does come back quite a lot. Yeah, and these are just, I would say these are very nice settings. For me, they feel very reasonable. You can really push with them. You can really feel what the car is doing. It's also still very controlled, you know. And if you just want a little bit more, you just go up on the FFB multiplier. Oops, I pressed F12 there. And as long as you are not clipping, doing this is absolutely fine. Let's see. Yeah, feels pretty good. I do wish they would give us an option to increase the bumps a little bit more though. But for now, yeah, this feels absolutely fine. Touch the curb. Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's super aggressive also now on the curbs, which I like. Let's go over this. Yeah, feels good here in the grass. The grass doesn't do much, but the gravel absolutely does. I have tested it before. Yeah, it just feels very nice now, I would say. It's also just smooth. It's buttery smooth. You don't feel any jitters. You don't feel any stutters or anything. It's just like you are driving an actual car, you know? Very immersive. So, let's stop the car. I really hope this video helped out some of you. Find nice settings for your force feedback. If it did, be sure to leave a like. Drop a nice comment if you have something to add. Maybe you have some tips for me because I messed something up. That could be 100% be the case. If you have any suggestions on other stuff you would like to learn in both RaceRoom and LMU, be sure to let me know in the comments. I will be sure to make a video on it. And with that, I've been OSW-Sim-Sports. Ciao!